Hello, Nelson.
Jonathan.
Lexi. Brittany.
As of late, American citizens have been obsessed with the growing concerns of violent children and adolescents due to the ever-rising occurrences of active shooters at schools and other public arenas. These concerns are absolutely warranted, although one of the main topics surrounding this issue has been gun control. A more poignant but less discussed topic, as it is not politically driven, is the question of what causes youth to become violent and commit mass murder. Since the 1990s, it has been strongly suggested that violence among youths has increased because of their participation in violent video games. In fact, prominent public figures such as President Donald Trump have publicly stated that violent video games are shaping young people's thoughts and influencing them to kill. In 2015, the American Psychological Association reported that there is a relationship between violent video games use and aggressive thought and behavior. In 2017, the Colorado State University found that video games do increase violent behavior, but violent behavior rises at a more alarming rate when the games are more realistic for first-person shooters. A University of Connecticut study expounded on this theory by suggesting that such realistic shooting games desensitize children to the real life and dangers and consequences that go along with guns and violence. This is because in video games, the players can get shot 10 times and keep walking. The player will shoot someone and the victim will bleed a little bit, but then his body will disappear and he won't ever have to think about the person he shot again. The player is constantly seeing a gun in front of him and gets used to it. He probably even likes it. According to these studies, children who play these games often get so used to this cartoon violence that they don't consider that as different in real life, because the graphics make the game feel like real life. Although these studies make some interesting points, I believe that they are flawed and that there are other factors considered in regards to the cause of violent youth. It is well documented by many sources that violent crime has significantly decreased in the last 30 years. This would suggest that since the 1990s, the most onset of video gaming people have become less violent. A Villanova University study found that violent video games may make people less violent. The study postulates that instead of going out and getting into fights or making plans to shoot people, these gamers are staying in their homes, keeping to themselves, and avoiding trouble. In fact, the study researched crime trends and game sales and found that the more violent M-rated games that were sold, there was a decrease in aggravated assaults and homicides. The study suggests that these video games are an outlet for violent behavior and not devices that fuel the flames of aggression. And in regards to the recent uptick in active shooters, there is no relationship between video games and the youths who commit mass murders. A Stetson University study found that not only is interest in violent video games rare among shooters, these perpetrators express much less interest in this violent medium than most other individuals. In any given American school, 70% of the male students play violent video games. But males who perpetrate the acts of violence in schools are 3 times less likely to play violent games or enjoy violent media as their peers. A Harvard University found that Americans have always had an inclination toward violence since the country began. Although it may appear to have grown due to our growing access of various types of media, that is the fact that violent behavior is on the decline. And perhaps youth interested in violent video games is due to American culture glorifying violence. A Northeastern University study posits that just because children are entertained by violence, it does not mean that they will take part in a violent behavior. Their involvement in violence is often primarily dependent on their parental supervision and control. It isn't that the media is so powerful. It is that other institutions such as family, school, religion, and neighborhoods have grown weaker with respect to socializing children, and they are, therefore allowing children to act out without consequences. Video games don't cause violence or deaths of innocent children, or a poor upbringing does. As parents or just adult role models, we need to stop blaming the media for our problems and start taking responsibility for our youth. We need to show the youth of America to be loving and tolerant, but also not be afraid to put them in check when their behavior is concerning. If society is able to properly guide children into becoming good, productive human beings, America will have less violence and a brighter future. Yeah.